Hey everyone, Sammy Bean with Rocked MMA. Today we're here to talk about the crazy events of UFC 294 this week, what's gone on, what to expect, what I'm looking forward to. So let's just get right into it. UFC 294, an absolutely crazy, amazing event. I think this is one that we've all been looking forward to. It's one of those types of events that's really stands out for the UFC this year. Huge names on the card. We've got a title fight on the line. We've got one of the biggest stars, upcoming stars in the sport, Khamzat Chimaev on the card, and loads of talent all over the place. Unfortunately, when that happens, sometimes you get these pullouts, right? Card is in Abu Dhabi, 10 days away. We have, first of all, Oliveira versus Chimaev. That one fell apart. We got a replacement in for that fight, which is good. And then, of course, we have the main and the co-main event both falling apart right around the same time. So first, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2 is not going to happen. Charles Oliveira, this is a guy who every time he fights, it's must-see TV. Really a big shame to see him pull out of the fight. Apparently he got a really bad cut in training. What are these guys doing? I mean, you're 10 days out. I understand that you have to prepare, for a fight that's coming up. But gosh dang, man. You cannot be pulling out of this type of opportunity, especially for him. Some people say it maybe was a little bit too soon for him to get that shot again at Makhachev, and ends up, it's a really funny series of events actually. So first of all, you have Mateusz Gamrot, days before any of this happened, saying that he has been told that he's going to be the backup fighter for the main event, and if somebody pulls out, he's going to get his shot at the title. Well, little did he know, the UFC had other plans. And actually, it's kind of funny, if you watch the interview with Dana White, somebody asked him about it. They said, there was an interview in Poland where Gamrot said he was the backup fighter. What do you think about that, Dana White? And Dana said, oh, did he say that? Yeah, I guess that's true. Didn't seem too confident about it. And so this is a fight. Apparently it was offered to both Dustin Poirier, who accepted, and it was offered to the person who ultimately accepted, Alexander the Great, Volkanovski. So this is a rematch. We all saw the first fight. It was very close. Could have gone either way. I personally had it for Makhachev, but I could definitely see how people would have given it to Volkanovski. The one thing that I kind of question about this fight, and believe me, this has a kind of an upset feel about it. So I'm actually picking Alexander Volkanovski to win, but I don't think he has as many ways to win, right? I think that Makhachev has a much higher likelihood of either TKOing him on the ground or finishing him via submission than Volkanovski does to Makhachev. But at the same time, I think ultimately Volkanovski pulls out a decision, and I think he'll take it to Makhachev, and I think he'll probably win, 4 out of 5 rounds, honestly. So really, really exciting fight. Amazing that they were able to pull this together. Obviously, he is coming up in weight, so the weight cut isn't going to be as much of an issue for him on short notice, which is the same in the other fight as well. But it should be a very interesting fight once again. And like I said, I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski to win, but I don't know. I feel like Islam has more ways to win, so it should be a good fight. In other news, Paulo Borrachina. How do you actually say it out loud? I read it a lot on, on the various websites, Sherdog.com. Shout out to Sherdog. Borrachina. It seems like he cannot get to a fight without having some kind of controversy. I think he's a great character for the sport. He's absolutely hilarious. And I think, there was a little bit of controversy even about him sharing about his elbow injury kind of ahead of the news coming out that it might be canceled. I think that was maybe a little bit, him trying to get ahead of it, saying, oh, I'm willing to fight, but the commission won't let me fight. That's what the situation seems like to me. But you gotta show up on fight night. You can't be having surgery, 2 weeks before a fight if you're really honestly expecting it to happen. So, in the interim, we have a great late replacement for this fight, which is Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. So this fight is very interesting in a lot of ways, right? So both guys are actually moving up to middleweight. Khamzat has done it before. Usman has not done it before, but I think everybody knows that he's one of the largest welterweights, and he cuts a lot of weight to get there. So I think probably they'll be of a similar size, of a similar strength, although I think probably Paulo Costa is quite a bit bigger than Usman, so for whatever Chimaev was preparing for, in that sense, it might be a little bit easier. But the really interesting wrinkle to this fight is that I don't think either guy is going to be able to wrestle the other one. At their best, both of these guys are able to sort of implement an offensive wrestling heavy game plan, or at least, pushing one another up against the cage, right? And kind of imposing their will and getting them into bad positions so that they can ultimately finish the fight. With these two guys, I don't know if it's going to happen. There's some questions about Kamaru Usman's knees. Maybe he won't be able to, have that same level of takedown defense or takedown offense that he's had in the past. We don't really know. But also he's coming up on short notice. He hasn't had a lot of time to prepare. But on the other hand, we don't really know what Chimaev is when he can't be the hammer 100% of the time, right? I mean, this is a guy who absolutely smokes everyone, right, with his wrestling. They don't get any strikes off. He finishes them off, except when he fought Gilbert Durinho Burns. So that's one thing that could provide a unique wrinkle to this fight, and I'm really excited to see it. And if you put a gun to my head and I have to make a pick, because it's 3 rounds, if it were 5 rounds, I might make a different decision. But because it's 3 rounds, I'm going to pick Khamzat Chimaev to win via decision, but probably a close decision. I'm not expecting total domination from him. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him really shake up the middleweight division, but I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Chimaev comes out on top, and that's what's going to top off an absolutely amazing card. Lots of great fights on here, and it feels like it's kind of been a while. So I've kind of been secretly wondering if UFC is kind of throwing some cards together, against college football that, maybe aren't 100% top tier. In the last couple of weeks, they've been a little bit questionable. The main cards, most of all, have delivered, which is good. A lot of the times, the cards that you aren't sure if they're going to deliver do. But yeah, personally, this is one that is a must-see, must-watch, and I will be watching. Also, I'm going to be posting my post-fight reactions to every fight on the main card. So subscribe to Rocked MMA afterwards. Check it out. See if you agree, disagree. Put your comments down below, and we'll see you there.